doing extremely well. Sorry, a little bit later than planned, just purely because of the internet debacle is in full swing. So like, I hope we're all doing extremely well. I need to adjust this camera. I hope we're all doing extremely well this Sunday, Sunday, February the 1st. Another month done and another win in the books. Look, this at the moment is a I don't know. Look, we're going to get into it tonight. Look, I still have my views and opinions on this team, but look, tonight is not about that. I think tonight is really important. Tonight, again, even somebody like me, who is critical of this side. We've gone into the third game, the third win, and look, again, we'll talk about the game. We can talk about the game. I've now had time to go over the game. I've rewatched the game as well. And look, there are some things that are abundantly clear. There are some things that I said early doors, about finishing between 8th and 10th. And look, I think I was right in originally suggesting that. 3 wins from 3 unexpectedly happy, says Sky. And Sky, legend. I'll always say this, and Sky falls into this as well. Look, there's a special mention for the Matchcom fans. Look, Sky. It was amazing today, Sky, to have you there. What I love about this guy, is the fact that we've got people at the ground, such as you, Sky, absolute legend. And I just love it. I just love it. I love the fact that now, they seem to be playing. She was sitting in the Fulham end. So Jackie, legend. You were doing your Sky patrol. So look, first thing to say is get into this amazing community. XD says, evening JB, couldn't see the game because I was out with the family. How did we do? Look, I'll give you a brief overview of the game, and then we can get into it. Look, so I would say, look, it was a you live in London, don't talk shy. Look, I think the most important thing, look, it was exciting. If I guess the best way to describe it is this: is that if you look at the Amorim games, right? So they would be very, very close games. So the Bournemouth game, a 4-4, right? This was a 3-2, right? This was a close game, but exciting. It was an exciting game, and I do have my opinions on that about Carrick and how this team plays. But look, after the football that we've had over the last year, 18 months, as much as I don't think that this is long-term football, my God, it is exciting. It is edge of the seat, probably for the wrong reasons. But today was just, look, it was just so end to end. I mean, by the end of it, I'm hoarse as anything now. It is just a roller coaster, and it's a roller coaster in a good way. Instead of the emotions being of disappointment, right? Of being feeling that, oh, we've won a game, but we didn't, it was because of X, Y, and Z, right? It was just exciting. And look, I think that is what we're gonna get. When you play with passion, and these players are playing with passion, hearts and souls, and we've sort of said that, we saw it today. And look, I know what these players are. We know what these players are, but it was exciting, on the edge of your seat, fist banging. It's all I'm going to say to you is strap in for the ride. And look, I'm up for it. It doesn't change my opinion on this team. Doesn't change my opinions on the Glazers. Enshak says that Carrick is at the wheel, and look, people are going to get carried away with this, right? I've got no problem in Carrick at the wheel. Tonight is not that, is not for me to dissuade anybody. Everyone in the chat, Sky fancies me, so hands off. Enshak says jug, yeah, and look, I don't. There are going to be people, right? So look, we've seen this movie before. If it gets us into the Champions League, it gets us there. So look, whatever we do by any means, let's get in it. But look, we will talk about the game, and this is a later show. So look, guys, get in your opinions about the game, get in your opinions about Arsenal. I think Arsenal have won the league. City have bottled it. Villa, I've bottled it. Henderson says it's finally great to finally be here. Legend as well. I hope you're doing it extremely well, buddy. So look, the first thing to say is get into this amazing community. This is the best community on this platform. Dino is in the house, legend. And look, be respectful to the community. Be respectful to yourselves as well, because that's important. I think people sometimes are not respectful to themselves. I think sometimes people see a show, they come on, they don't act in the way that they do outside. So look, give yourselves a bit of respect. We don't mind the banter. Absolutely, banter is no issue at all. Come on, bring on the banter. And look, be respectful to me. Second thing to say, look, Ebenezer says, come on, United. Exactly tonight. Look, we should be happy tonight, right? I'm happy. Second thing says, look, I'm not a dictator of this chat. Get in your stuff tonight, because I will read out your chats. This is what this show is. This is what this community is about. I give you your say. I'll give you your time. So get into it tonight. XD says, we definitely have seen this movie before. 14 match win streak and second in the league at the end of the season. I'm the banter queen, but I command respect. Yes, you do. This have a look to see what we've got in here. Okay, so look, the first thing to say is, look, tonight I'm not going to go in on these players. Look, I've been very, very critical of these players. I'm still not convinced. I still believe that if we want to progress into champions, if we want to progress into the next stage, if we want to get into the Champions League, if we want to win, look, because what we're talking about here is this. If we should demand to be in the Champions League every single season, we should demand to win the Champions League. We should demand to win the league. Not because I'm dumb, it's because those are the standards, right? Now, if we want to do that and consistently, we need a better team. Look, it is a fact. It is a fact. So look, if this team can be the start of something, if this can be the catalyst, great. But I think what is fair to say is, look, this, I've given these players stick. I've given these players so much stick. But look, they've won 3 games, and what then happens? And exactly, Uncle Casemiro had a game today. He did. What can you say? And look, we weren't perfect, and we will go through the game as well. But what is happening? Sean Bean says, "Did you lot play? Did we play well today?" I think, Sean, if I'm being honest, I think there are parts in the game that I thought we played it well in. I think the midfield is a problem, and I will go through the game as well. I think our attacking players are fantastic. It is, Dino. It is. It's basically, as Dino said there, back in the, well, I think it was back in the 60s, but I remember like having one in the 80s and 90s. You had a red boxer and a blue boxer, and you basically end up punching the crap out of people, right? And that's what it was. I didn't think Fulham threatened a super lot, but look, it was it was just end to end stuff, and I think that is what we're going to get. Look, I do want to say some stuff on the footballing side, but I'll keep that until the very end. But look, tonight is not about critiquing, really. We can do that tomorrow. We can do that towards the back end of the week. So tonight it really is just about. Look, enjoy the win. Look, this is another game. Look, we got there edge of the seat, and we bloody won another game. So even I have to be happy. But so let's get through these chats. Guys are legends. Let's have a little look. Dina saying, my thought on is I haven't changed. I still believe that there'll be a couple of games that we don't get back into and we're playing on the knife's edge. And Dina, I think probably, mate, I think that's probably the best way to explain it. We are playing on a knife's edge. And look, I will come back on that a bit. Not on what you're saying, but I'll come back on what Carrie keeps saying as well. Uncle Casimiro, yes, he did. Gon says, legend, finally we won one of those the gritty games. We normally draw or lose. Herbie says, I think second half was hit and miss. Shesko and Cunha saved our blushes. A great result today, even though we nearly threw it away too early to draw conclusions on Carrick, and still very tight for top four. Fulham are a good side, and I think you can be happy with a good result. And I do, JB, Shesko, and Dino, we have been saying this, Dino. I'm in your camp. We have been saying this about him, and it's all there. I can't lie. Me, Dino, I think Scott, many of you have been saying this. That Shesko is going to come good. Wait for Shesko to acclimatise to the league. Look, Shesko got interviewed today. Sky says that Kevin Kidd is going to be quality. A great goal, even though it was Fulham's that goal. Oh, it was fantastic. The Beefcake says, fair to say Arsenal are the Premier League champions. Yeah. Look. Yes. I've believed all season. I think that this season, I think consistency is going to win the league. And I think, look, give Arsenal their due. The Leipzig buzz cut gave him good luck. I love it. Look, and to be fair to Arsenal, I think Arsenal are a consistent team. They've been threatening to win the league for a little while, and I think what probably helps them this season. And look, I'm not going to take away anything from Arsenal. Serious Band Fighter says, congratulations on your win. Thanks, buddy. Look, to Arsenal's end, I think it was a really good weekend for Arsenal. I think it's a bad one for Spurs, a bad one for City, a bad one for Villa. Liverpool, I think, did really well. Chelsea as well. United. Look, we could end up in a situation, and I don't like this. But Villa might be drawn into the top 6 race. I hope not. But I think that the Europa League, I think it could be, it could be bad for them. Is Arteta now considered a great coach? I always thought Arteta was a good coach. I think that's a question for the Arsenal fans. If I'm an insider looking in, I think Arteta is a very good manager. Look, we all talk about the dark arts and that sort of stuff, and yes, but at the end of the day, he's trying to win, and I think he is a great coach. I think it's not me or us who you've got to convince. I think it's the Arsenal fans. Any hope for a deadline signing? I think the result today puts end. Look, the last 3 games, right? I saw the protests today. Look, I've said it again. I plan to go to the protests today. I was basically told to stay away. I listened to that. I was advised by the police right. So, but again, I still support the protests. I think they are important. Now, the reason why I mention it is, look, this is absolutely, these last 3 wins have absolutely curtailed any glaze it out movement. right? I think this fan base is being placated again. The Glazers, Ineos, I bet they are tonight. I bet they are. I bet they are sat there tonight bashing one out because they are so lucky. You know, coming off the back of a December as bad as that. Imagine this: the fan base is up in arms. December was a horrific time. You know, coming out, we're not going to sign any players. The fans are baying for blood. Amarin loses his job, and then there's a ray of light. And I think Carrick has basically saved their skin. I think they'll argue that they don't need to sign any players. Look, I got told on this channel, and I've been banging on about this since November. I've been told a couple of things that this channel has been correct on before people. I've been told countless times this club is not going to make any signings of players. If they're forced into it, they'll do a cheap or a loan deal. I don't think they're going to sign anybody. Look, hopefully I'm wrong, but they're not going to sign it because look, these last 3 games have saved their bacon. You know, there were protests today. I saw it. And look, I support the protests, right? I really do. Glazers out, scum. Ineos out, scum, right? I saw the protests. I fully support the protests. But no disrespect. Look, I fully support it. I think they've done a fantastic job. I really support it. But it's such a damp squid. It is such a damp squid. You know, what do we need to do? So look, you know, we're not going to make any. Look, I guarantee you, if we go on to lose the next 2 games, people will be back on. We should have made some signings. I think the fan base has made little noise because of the 2 wins, and I think Ineos and the Glazers will take that. If we do sign anybody, look, there's always a chance it's going to be somebody cheap. It's going to be somebody cheap, a cheap loan, a cheap buy deal. I hope I'm wrong. And look, we are now in a top 4 race. We are. Now, I've been saying from 8th and 10th the whole season. We're now in a top 4 race. Fact. As of today, not as of November, not as of December, not as of the City game. Today we are in a top 4 race on February the 1st, not November the 1st, not October the 1st. All that was a load of bollocks. Here and now, we are in a top 4 race as of today. So, do I think we're going to make any signings? I don't think we will. Should we? Yes, but let's see. The Harvey Champion says, holy moly, you could be in the Champions League next season. Exactly. Chelsea Superfan says, that was crazy. I can't believe we are not in the top 4. Chelsea Superfan, welcome, my friend. I hope you're doing it extremely well, buddy. I mean, look, Chelsea. Woo! Chelsea. I mean, look, this season is a roller coaster. This season could go anyway. And, you know, it is almost actually the race between, I'm even going to pull Villa into this. That you know, if City lose again or draw again and we keep winning, Chelsea's, Liverpool's, us, maybe we could draw those into it as well. So I think at the moment, I think from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and as I said before, this month is where you are going to start seeing a bit of a breakaway, and that is what we've got. So, you know, Chelsea, crazy game. Liverpool, you know, and again, Wirtz, Liverpool fans, right? Liverpool fans were giving Wirtz shit. I said, again, everything that I say is all on here, right? So it's all here. I remember saying, give Wirtz time. It is ridiculous that people are calling out Shesko, people are calling out Wirtz. They will come good. Give them time. Dino says, JB, do we dare to dream of Champions Leagues for next season? Dino, yes, mate, yes. I look, the thing is, right, I don't want to give these players an excuse. Right, before the start of the season, I said I think we finished between 8th and 10th. We started off the season, okay. I think we've got 1 point more better than the previous season. We finished 15th last season, by the way. And I didn't say 8th and 10th because I want to be right. I said it because that's what I honestly believed from what I've seen. But Dino, I don't want to give these players an excuse now. I've shifted. I've shifted from 8th to 10th. I think we need to finish between 4th and 6th. Now Dino, I'm not giving these players an excuse anymore. They finished 15th last season. They've shown that they can beat the two best teams in the league. Liverpool, Chelsea, we've beaten those teams. Fulham, we've beaten those. So Dino, we're now in a top 4 race, and the reason why I say this now, because we're in it, the expectations are high, and if we don't, some people argue that we've overachieved, yes, but guess what? We are in a top 4 race, so there's no excuses. There is no excuses. If we don't get into the Champions League from this position, this is on the Glazers. This is on the Glazers not spending to make sure. So look, again, I'm not saying that Carrick's at will. I'm not saying that I believe in these players. I'm not buying the hype. But whether these players like it or not, they've got themselves into a position now and they've got to make it happen. So there is no excuse. Serious fan says, admit it, Lyle is a Luton fan. I can see United finishing as high as 5th this season, but I can also see you ending up as the 6th best team. Yep. What a shout of good news I've just got. I'm going to be a father again. My sister. I'm going to be a father. Sir Jackie, you are a bad man. You're a bad man. You are a bad man. But congratulations. Better says we're done for it. Either Casemiro or Kobe pick up an injury. Exactly that. XC says let's hope Spurs play like they did against City in the first half so we can get a quick 3 points, but Spurs always turn up against us. Nicky T says legend. Worried about Spurs though after seeing them play today. Moss United says win the league. Logan says how did City bottle it at Tottenham? City should have been out of sight. I don't know what is wrong with City. I don't know. I think this season is ridiculous. I think this season is a choke season. I think Logan. I think the difference is that I think people have worked Pep out. I think people have worked the system out, and I don't think people are scared of you guys. I also think Haaland has been figured out as well. Moss says the signing are good. Larmans, Dorgu, Cunha, 3 or 4 decent signings, and we'll go places. No, I agree, Moss. Moss, I couldn't agree more with you. I don't think we're that far away. The only thing I will say is I think we are. I think we need another 5 at least, and I'm talking about 5 first-team players, and then I think we need a squad. Actually says Haaland is in the mud at the moment. He's next on the chopping block for my FPL. And you guys argue that out. Paul James Owens legend. Hey man, hope you're doing well. Yes, we went today. Good atmosphere. Still some cracks to repair as we saw the Fulham getting back to 2-2, which was extremely disappointing. Paul James Owens, absolute legend of the channel, much like Sky, a match going fan as well. And every time I do hear that word, I will always say, fan is a fan is a fan. But look, I give absolute props and respect to people that go to games. I don't think that they're more of a fan than you, but I have to give special props to match going fans because, look, they go home, they spend their money, their time, their emotion. I know I spent my time today was very emotional today, but look, I think the Matt's Going fans are the lifeblood. I know a lot of Matt's Going fans give me shit on here, but I'm not going to give it back because there is a respect there. So look, Paul James is an absolute legend. Do you think we'll spend big money in the summer if we do get Champions League football? I think we'll spend in the summer if we get Champions League football. But I do need to prefix this, and I do need to warn you guys, because look, I think this can consistently get missed, right? We are in the summer already. We will probably already be further in debt. So we'll probably be in roughly about, I don't know, £130 million extra in debt. So we will still need to sell to buy. That is a fact. Now look, all it means, and this is what the Glazers need to get their head around, Sir Jim, with the money that's going to be saved from Casemiro, with the money that's going to be saved from Sancho, with Rashford potentially leaving and his cash, again, his wages being saved, Højlund, the money in from him, if we qualify for the Champions League this season and next, it's going to positively impact the club. And what you will see is you probably will see that loss turn into a profit. So I think if we get into the Champions League this season, I think it will save next season. And if we qualify again, it's going to be the season after that, which I think that we'll spend big. I think we'll spend big if we get back into the Champions League, because I think that we've got to. And I just hope that we're going to be brave. Look, I just really hope if we get to the Champions League, this club knows it's got to spend. And if it spends well, then guess what? We could push next season for third, second, Champions League. Maybe not the quarterfinals, but this and let's get through the Carabao Cup. So look, Beto, I think that Champions League qualification this season is going to be so important, more than anything else, because it means the season after we would jump back up the money table. So let's see. Eric Singh says, hello JB, why are EPL referees against 2 penalties given to why VAR is always doing things wrong? Eric, legend, I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. I don't know, Eric. There's this, I don't know. There's this weird thing. I don't know if it's I almost think at times is a bit like the wrestling. I almost think that at times it's a bit preordained. I always feel like, and I'm going to allegedly say this just in case I get sued, I almost feel like the VAR almost has to manipulate a rhetoric for whatever they're trying to do. I almost feel like the Premier League want Arsenal to win the league. And again, it doesn't really matter, but the inconsistency is there for everybody to see. Look, the penalties wise, I don't care, right? Look, if it's a penalty, there's no point in complaining. We can talk about it now. But look, was it a penalty? You can argue yes, and it was a penalty. Look, it is what it is. Bang Bang says, what's going on with City? And Bang Bang, it is gonna take years. It is gonna take. I did a video on it. It could go up. It could go up to 2030. The charges are even if they are found to be guilty, it is not going to be done anywhere near until. So basically, there is a procedure that needs to happen. So I think there are 3 parts. So the first part is done, but the part you need to do to get to the charges part hasn't even happened yet. So we are talking years. So look, if anyone's hoping for a City 115, it's not going to happen. And look, I don't even really think that. Look, I don't think that we should be focusing on City's 115 anymore. I think we should be focusing on us. And if City get found, whatever it is, that's up to them. Again, this sounds a bit mental, but I will have sympathy with the fans because it's not the fans that have done this. So look, as much as if City are found, whatever they are found, but it's not going to be for years. Haaland will end up as a better goal scorer than Rude, Cole, York, Solskjaer, Van Persie, Cavani, Højlund, and Berbatov. I think if he goes to Spain, I don't think Haaland's going to stay in the Premier League. I don't think he will. I think Haaland will go to Madrid. Yeah, I'll let you do that. Moss says we need 2 midfielders ASAP. Agree with you. We literally have to splash the cash in the summer if we get to the Champions League, because I don't think the squad will survive Champions League without depth. Agree with you. True United fans live in London. Fergie time, says Palace edits. Yeah, but Fergie time, but for both teams. Will Rashie come back, says Moss? Nah, I don't think he will. Look, Rashford is a debate to have, right? But I don't think he will. Everything says negative about the Fulham match. Carrick subbing Casemiro cost us 2 goals, and it was a mistake. I mean, Ugarte. Let's talk about Ugarte for a second. Look, I'm not gonna go too bad on these players. I do want to mention Casemiro though. Look, Casemiro. Look, hasn't been wasn't great the previous season, right? But I tell you what, right? He's not going to get into a Premier League winning team, right? But what a season! I've got to praise Casemiro this season. Look, was Casemiro the answer this season? No. I just think this club has lucked out on Casemiro having a purple patch. I'm so pleased for Casemiro this season. Look, Casemiro hasn't been amazing. You can blame the manager, you can blame the structure around him. I will criticise players, right? But I will also champion players. Casemiro this season, what makes me smile, right? What I love about this season, Casemiro will leave this club on fantastic terms. What a fantastic season. Casemiro is what a brilliant season. Look, he's limited, legs have gone. It is only the correct thing to do for him to leave. Look, Champions League winner, experienced guy. I wish he was younger. I'd love to keep him around for the youth, but look, very, very expensive player. Has he lived up to the hype? No. But I would love this season, Casemiro in his last season, Champions League, can leave the club, because I don't want to see players leave this club on a negative note, right? Casemiro this season, it makes me smile this season because I love to see players do well. And Casemiro, look, older guy, showing his experience, and I'm so pleased for him. I'm so pleased for him this season. Again, it's playing one game a week suits these players, or suits him. And I'm actually scared in case he gets injured. to go back to what you say there, Eric. Ugarte came on, and we just lose control. What Casemiro does so well is he just controls. Casemiro has found his position. He's tailored his position, and it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work, but by God, when it works, I mean, control of the game today. I mean, absolutely, just what a player. You take him off, Ugarte comes on, and I mean, fucking Ugarte. I mean, Ugarte. SD says no disrespect, but Rashford should stay in Spain. Is good for him, and us clowns have high intelligence and cognitive ability, says Nicky. Paul Jim John says what fans need to understand is learning from the past. Stop saying appoint him and let's get a rule plan A B. If we can't appoint them and Carrick has done well, then give it to him. And look, Paul, I am with you, buddy. I think United need to go for the best person they can. And this is where I'm at on it, right? Is if, for example, Tuchel can't come, no world-class coach can come, right? If it's a choice between a Glasner and Irola and a De Zerbi, and Carrick has got us into the Champions League, I would rather give it to Carrick. Like, I am not saying give it to him because it's Carrick at the wheel. I'm not bringing the Ollie thing. This does remind me, but I wouldn't be picking him on the basis that Ollie was picked. I want to pick the coach on, look, if the options are a Glasner, I don't want Glasner. If it was an Arola, a Glasner, a De Zerbi, no thank you. Keep Carrick in place, right? If it's a choice between Carrick, Emery, Tuchel, Ancelotti, somebody else, then look, if Carrick, look, to me, I think there are pluses and minuses for those as well. So look, I think I'm with Paul. I think we need to stop this whole, Carrick in. And I know he's won 3 games and it's amazing, but look, I would say to you tonight, listen, if you want Carrick in, right, listen to what he's got to say. He's saying, look, let's take it one game at a time. And let's see where we are at the end of the season. And these players are saying the same thing. I watched the interviews after Ahmad. I love Ahmad. I absolutely adore him, right? And again, he's saying the correct things. Carrick those of you who won him in after 3 games, listen to what he's saying because it's so true. We play 1 game a week. Let's take each game as it comes. Epic Man says, if you could sign any Barcelona players to United, I would probably sign Gavi, I think. Moss said, thoughts on the protest today. Says, Moss, look, what I'm going to say here is the protest. I've got utter respect for the people that, I was warned off it. Fine. Respect. Look, they are trying to achieve something today, right? But limited factor. I think today what they suffered from today was a winning streak. The appetite from this fan base, it needs to be. We can't just even if we win games. Even if we were to win a league, I still want these cretins out. So look, I've got so much respect for the protesters, but it is a bit of a damp squid. Like it is a damp squid. A group of people. And look, if we want to make an impact, it needs to be hundreds and thousands of people, or at least 50,000 people. But there are a couple of factors here. Number one, look, I got warned away, right? There seems to be a hierarchy, right? So unless people can put down their whatever it is, if fan channels can come together, like can you imagine this? Imagine this in an ideal world, right? Take out, imagine if the biggest channels, the three biggest channels all came together on a single stream. We're talking about getting the Glazers out. We're bringing all of their people together and basically saying, look, guys, let's come together. But people don't. I know people don't like these sorts of channels. I know people don't like their channel. But these people have lots of pull, right? So imagine if they pulled everything together on one stream, think of it like a band-aid. And when I say a band-aid, I don't mean like a plaster. I mean, think of it as like a Christmas song, right? You pull all the YouTube stars together. You get all the biggest channels, and you bring all of the stars together. They have one big stream, and they start talking about, we need your help. That I think would have more impact. And look, the 1958 and all those groups, massive respect. They've got millions of members. But if they did it in conjunction with the biggest channels and everybody came together, put their views aside, put their clicks aside, put their thumbnails aside, everybody agreed to have a thumbnail that is exactly the same, one stream, so nobody gets the views, no one gets the clicks. You could I don't know, you could create a channel for a day, and any money that's raised on the channel can go to a foundation, could go to like a hospital, so once a year you create a thing, and it goes to the hospitals, for kids, it goes to whatever it is, and that is what should happen. But it won't, because there's so many fighting. I mean, I got told to stay away. I've reached out to channels, blank me completely. Nobody has an appetite. So until people come together, it's not going to happen. So look, I admire the protests. I support the protest, irrespective of what I've been told and the Vol stuff to me. I don't care. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's people can sling mud. People can sling threats. This is bigger than that. Dino says the financial benefit in Ineos are hoping for Champions League to balance the books. Favourite food? My favourite food is steak. Nicky says red is the colour. Paul James Owen says it's just my fear that Carrick's coming up against the managers who have been there, done that, and for United manager you need everything in your locker. Yes. I agree with you. Pete Myers says hi JB, good to see you, Pete. Legend, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. I don't get how City have spent 600 mil this season. Zach says the Glazers out. Exactly, the Glazers out, guys. City, I don't know. And look, tonight this is that show. We can go for quite some time. I think the City thing comes into it today because it makes this result even more important. If we can keep clawing points here and points there, today City dropped 2 points, and I'm not saying that we're going to catch them, right? But if Arsenal keep dropping points, what I want to see this season, if we can get to within 9 points of the people who win the league, I mean, Jesus Christ, compared to where we were. So if we finish fifth, fourth, third, right, and we get to some sort of distance, 9 or 10 points away from the league, what a season that is. And look, it's still a pathetic season in terms of where we should be, but what a season that would be, Alex says that, hello everyone, glad the weekend and another victory, cut it but close, but Fergie time was welcome back. Dinner says Casemiro, nice swan song before he leaves. Moss said Cass has been decent signing, overall paying 60 for the last ditch deal, and we paid our tax. He's been overall great. I can't argue with that. Ball scares me. I shit myself every time he comes on. Scott is in the house. Yes, JB. Yes, Scotty. XD says we need a replacement for Casemiro. I wouldn't mind Fernandes from West Ham or even Stiller. How is Ugarte a Prem player? How is Ugarte Prem player? He is a League One player at best. I swear they pulled him from the street, gave him a shirt, and threw a ball at his feet, and he didn't control it. You see why PSG got rid exactly. Ugarte outbring Anderson and Baleba, a winger Leao from Inter Milan, or Monday. I mean, look, Eric, that would cost a lot of money. That would cost a lot of money. I don't know, mate, if we would spend the sort of money. And Ugarte, someone's got to buy him. I think Ugarte will get loaned out. This is honestly, I want to meet his agent, handshake him because he can sell a dead horse. Let's have a little look. Moss says, has United Stand blocked you? I don't think they blocked me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, buddy. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't subscribe to the channel. Look, I've sent emails to all sorts of people. I've sent messages to people, saying well done. Because look, the one thing that people don't do. Look, I purposefully don't necessarily watch other people, right? And I will watch some of the smaller content creators. And when I say that, I mean we're small, right? And I'm not even suggesting that I'm big, right? Well, but what I'm saying here is that I've reached out because I'd more than happily have people on this channel. I don't care about clicks. Like I really couldn't care less. Like I didn't. This for me is unexpected, right? We're not a massive channel, right? We're doing well. You guys are legends. I had no idea that this channel would be received well. So my primary aim of this channel was never about clicks. Look, the channel doesn't make money. It makes it literally makes peanuts, and I mean when I say that, peanuts. So this isn't about money. This isn't about fame. I mean, this isn't about fame. This isn't about views. This isn't about clicks. This is generally about this club. So if anybody with a smaller channel wanted to come on here and have a debate and just have a chat, I'm up for that. But for whatever reason, fan channels don't want to interact. Simon says, good evening, JB. Good match today, but I really hope we were going to throw it. I thought we were going to throw it away. Thanks to Shesko and his wonder strike, he saved our bacon. My eldest daughter is 12 and she's better than him. My eldest is 14. I mean, to be fair, she'd probably smash him up. To be fair, honest, the headache will be offloading at least 6 this summer and replacing them. I'm still looking at the likes of Bowen and Mitoma as they are no frills and put in a shift. I like Bowen. Mitoma, I like them both. I think if we could get those sorts in on top of 2 or 3 not superstar, but you know what I mean. I think that those are the players that we need, Paul. I do. Liam says, even though I agree, always thought that United fan base has different factions who struggle to communicate with each other. Goes completely against what this club is supposed to be about. Sally says, the biggest thing I noticed is the massive hole on the left when being countered has to be addressed for the next game. I do agree with you. Sally says, Ugarte, Turkish League. I friggin' hope so. Now that we've won 3 games on the bounce, we did that with Amarin and we dropped points for the next few games. Exactly. Where is the Nightbot? I've just given Nightbot some time off. And look, to be fair, Nightbot, I completely forgot. To be fair, it was just a tester. It was just a tester to see if it worked. I completely forgot that it was on. I forgot to turn it off. I've turned it off. He's looking out for comments to protect the public. Eric Singh says, Glazers are the Greys no money. They're not footballing owners. They are businessmen. Yes, Villa blew it against 10-man team. Beck says, can you share your experience about what it's like watching United win the Champions League? I would like to know it so I can hold on to the hope of seeing my club win something. So there are two. So I've seen it twice, right? Let me tell you something, right? When we won it against the Chelsea mob, don't get me wrong, European Cup, fantastic, right? Champions League doesn't happen that much, but let me tell you that 99 final, I was 16. So throughout the whole of that season, I was in my last year of school and winning the league, right? So we won the league. That was the first thing. Then we won the FA Cup. Fantastic. Right. Semi-final of that year, again, we were down to 10 men and Giggsy. Schmeichel sent the penalty and then Giggsy did that thing and I was there for that. And then, let me tell you something. That whole game, the final was crap. We were absolutely dog shit. And every part of that season, the title win, the FA Cup win, those two corners were just, the only other time I've had that much joy was when my kids were born. I'm not going to lie, right? It was just unbelievable. I can't even express to you. When Sheringham scored and that Immortal on Solskjaer has won it, it gives me goosebumps, right? I watched that game, 16 years old. I've never experienced anything like that. People will laugh because some people don't like football, right? They don't understand the game. They don't get it, right? But that final, I 16 years old, like it was just, I've never experienced anything quite like that. A whole body experience. It was just utter joy. It was just utter joy. It was just unbelievable. And I was very, very lucky to be part of that season. I didn't play, but I was very, very lucky to see the season. I was really, really lucky to go to the semi-final and lucky to watch the game live. And look, it would have been more amazing if I was there. But let me tell you something. That Champions League final, the treble, just unreal. Need to get the fan base together that will ultimately return United to glory days. Exactly. Nightbot here comes in the night you never see him coming. Well, we still have 3 tough games to come. It's Simon. Lucky Shamrock says, do you think Barcelona will buy Rashford? I feel him coming back and being the deadwood. I think Barcelona want to buy him. Do I think they will? I don't know. The finances involved are huge. But look, Rashford has put himself into the window. If Rashford goes to the World Cup, and like we spoke on here, I'm spoken on here for a long, long time about this. The best thing is if Rashford goes and plays well, even if Barcelona don't add him to their squad, if he's had a good season, which he has, and he goes to a World Cup, someone's going to buy him. So look, even if they don't, I don't think he comes back at all. So I don't think we need to be too concerned about that. Alex said, used to watch the United stand, but I just found it fundamentally shallow and not particularly interesting, so I don't watch it for United info and discussions anymore. And look, Alex, mate, people like who they like. I'm not here to force you to like anybody. If you like me, great. Even if you don't, if you like the people on this channel, I'd say to get into this channel just for the community because they are amazing. I'm just part of the furniture. I'm just, Matoma good, but injury prone, hasn't hit that level. Lewis 99 says, just wondering why do you do your live streams in this format? I posted a video live format. Just a question. No, because the reason why I do it this way is because for whatever reason this seems to have worked better. Eventually I will change it over, Lewis, but this just seems to work better. And also, well, one of the reasons is, look, I'm not going to pretend to be a massive channel, right? You know, in time, if things go well, this will grow, right? But I think, what's the point in trying to compete with other people who've got who've been doing this for years? This just seems to work, and I, part of it for me is sort of just hoping this is different enough to what other people do. And look, when the channel grows, all this will get upgraded and that sort of stuff, and then I will transition over. But Lewis, the reason, mate, is because it just basically just seems to work, really. So that's it, mate. So just imagine there was no heaven. Playing it's easy if you try. Sorry about that, but we had Lacey on the bench. Sakamoran again says SS Red. Do you think that was a pen we should have had today? I think it would have been a very soft penalty, to be fair. Look, I'm not gonna, do I think we should have had a penalty? I don't want to win a game on penalties, right? Do I think it was a penalty? I think you could argue that, but for me, no. But look, we won the game. Do I think though that that VAR are inconsistent? Yes, I think the biggest question for me tonight is not should it be a penalty, is VAR need to be more consistent. John Bolton loves Amy says, let's get in, we won today. Also, you look like David Beckham. I'll take that, buddy. Look, John, mate, I'll take that. Beckham is a very, very good looking man. I'll take it. So JJ says, United, are they a dark horse to charge through a challenge for a title? 14 games to go. Crazy things have happened. Look, I will encourage you guys. I will all day encourage you guys to dream big. Okay? Dream big. Because if you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true? Right? Dream away. Like I always say this to my children. Guys, you've got a dream. Guys, dream. If you in a dream, you're going to be a princess. You can dream. Just dream. Everybody's got to have a dream. Do I think that we will? No. I don't think Arsenal are going to collapse. Arsenal would have to be the biggest bottle jobs of all time. As much as I think at times they like to drink from a bottle, they certainly spit their dummies out of their pram. But I don't think they're going to bottle this season. I don't. They do have a habit of chucking their toys out the pram as well. But look, it's theirs. It's theirs to win. Well, it's theirs to lose. They're going to be unfucking bearable, but I don't think so. Bayern versus United. I was on a ferry back from Dublin and only saw the Bayern goal before the ferry departed. That's what happens when your partner isn't a football fan. Let alone, mate, Alex, mate, out. She'd be out the door, mate. Some says, apart from being that we had quite a strong bench, I remember watching it, JB, from being in tears to jumping around, screaming my head off when Ollie scored. Mate, it was just, look, if you lived it, I feel sorry for people that just didn't see that final. Lim says, anyone else concerned about how much our midfield falls apart when Casemiro is subbed off? The midfield replacement needs to be spot on or we could be in trouble. Only 12 points behind Arsenal. If we go on a winning run of 10 games, who knows, we can win the title. Shame and disgraceful by not getting our midfielder in this window. I completely agree. 100% agree. Pivot chat incoming. Oh, it is coming, Dino. That pivot for me, it is a disgrace. That pivot is a disgrace. Look, Casemiro, fine. I've got no problem with him. But why didn't we get a new midfield? Look, Mainu today, I thought Mainu had a good game. But look, Mainu for me is not what I want as a midfield player. You know, is he a Bruno Fernandes replacement? I don't think he is. But I want to see two proper midfielders in there. Mainu has a place in this team, but I just want to see. I want to see just name a person for an edit. Let's go, David Beckham. Marshall says, "What do you think of bringing Harry Kane in next season?" So look, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. I don't think Shesko is enough. And look, if we could get Harry Kane at a good price, I'm not against Harry Kane. I'm not against bringing in that experienced striker. I'm not at all. I think we need a striker. Look, I would love to go and get an Osimhen. I think Kane is older now, but I'd bring him in if we got to the Champions League. I don't want to spend all of our budget on him though, but I would. Louis says, look, mate, no problem at all. I'm always happy to explain things to people. Real Madrid or Barcelona. If I had to pick one, Barcelona would probably be the one for me, and the reason is it's not based on football. It's based on Real Madrid are a very unique club. Real Madrid are a historic club. I like Barcelona more so because they're a bit more, they're a bit more of a maverick club. Real Madrid are a bit more. I just see them as this club who will just, they're winners. Right, they will do what they need to do. They'll get players to run down a contract. They don't care. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So for me, Barcelona, just because I just see Barcelona as just a bit more of a maverick club. In recent years, I'm not the biggest fan of how they try to buy players. But look, I know both historic clubs. Will United finish in the top four? I don't know, but they are in a top four race. Dream big, but you don't make thinking your reality. According to the BBC football website, United won't be able to prevent Rashi from staying at Barcelona. Fine, good. Frankly says, I feel United won't win the league. I'll be happy for them, but Arsenal will win it. The talk of the title for me is just crazy. If Arsenal win the title, my greengrocer will rub it in and don on it for phrase. Look, mate, Simon, if your greengrocer is an Arsenal fan, mate, I'd be looking inside my peppers, mate, because if he's willing to rub it in, I'd be checking my vegetables, mate, because I wouldn't want that. I would advise you, Simon, to be checking the vegetables if he's that way inclined, mate. 5 wins on the road or not. I'm Spanish Atletico Madrid fan. Look, welcome, my friend. Again, Atletico Madrid, fantastic side. 5 wins on the road or not? Yeah. I think so. United for life. Someone says surely there can't be many more days left in this window. No, it closes tomorrow. The cadet says anyone has been raving about mainly today. I missed the game, so I've got no idea how he actually played. Look, Mainu was okay today. Look, I will go through the game as well. I'm just going to get through the chats. I'll go through the game. Look, Mainu had a good game. Was he sensational? No. Look, none of these players today, in my opinion, other than maybe one or two, but nobody was sensational today. This wasn't a City type of game. This wasn't an Arsenal game. This was a good, in the trenches, difficult game where I thought people played. Look, people didn't have the best of games, because Fulham are that sort of team that make you not have a good game because they make you ask questions. But look, we'll get into it. For me, Byner talks to keep hold of Kane. Who's your favourite player of all time? Sparky. So Mark Hughes is my favourite player. I would be smart this time around and get a few decent Prem players that play in their positions, put them in the shift and keep it, and try one good name. Yeah, Theo Hernandez or Balde. Tay Fernandez, I think. Who would you replace Dallo with? I'd replace Dallo with a cardboard cutout of Dallo. I don't know, mate. Is it Robinson from Fulham? I think Arsenal is the bottlers and will lose both EPL and the Champions League. There's plenty of players in the second division in Spain who are miles ahead and on low wages. And look, that is how I would love that. I would really, I think that would be some forward thinking. Can we go through the team to bring in new players for each player? Can we go through the team to bring in new player for each player? Yeah. Let me get through the game first. Would you keep Casemiro on less money? Yes. Yeah. I would. At this point, yes, I would. I'd replace Ugarte with a waxwork dummy, says Simon. Officially, Satoru says we are one injury in the midfield away from a disaster. If they don't buy, somebody gets hurt, we're done. And this has been my point the whole window. When other channels have been fucking banging on about signing, we're going to go and sign some menu, we're going to go sign whatever else. I've been telling you guys we're not going to make a signing. Official, if we don't make a signing, and we get an injury, this is on them. Absolute crazy. So look, let's go through the game and I'll give you my opinions. And so look, it's a game we needed to win. I think we absolutely needed to win this game, particularly Liverpool winning. Particularly with Liverpool winning, Chelsea winning as well. Look, if there was a game that I thought as a test, this was today. And look, as you guys are saying, are we going to win every single game? No. Do we need to sign another player? Yes, because we are one injury away from the top from this season imploding. And if it implodes from this point, there's only two sets of people to blame: Ineos, Sir Jim, and the Glazers. So look, these are, and you're right, these are business people. Chira says, I'm here to apologise to all the United supporters. I really thought Fulham were going to fold the lawn. Look, you don't need to apologise, my friend. Look, I respect it, completely respect it, my friend. But look, people have views, and I was sceptical today. My views and opinions only change on the match day, because on the match day I want to win, right? But you don't need to. But look, respect to you, my friend. Wolves are dead in the water, and Nunu is skating on thin ice. Good night, guys. I have to go to sleep as I'm up early for work. Enjoy the win for the next week and take care. Alex, legend. If we win 5 games in a row, we definitely. No, I don't know. So look, let's go through the game. Look, Fulham came to play today. I know Fulham are no joke team. Fulham are one of those teams that, on their day, again similar to us, can beat any team. Right? Fulham are a great team. So the reason why I want to prefix that and say that, because today's win is a good win, right? Now Fulham are a good team. The midfield, the pivot today. I'm going to get on to the pivot today. You know, the people, I've seen it already. They're talking about Bruno Fernandes had this amazing game today. He had 2 assists. Decentish game. Kobe Manu had a decent game. I didn't notice him too much in the game, but he was there and he did do some good things. Casemiro, even Casemiro didn't have the most amazing game, but Casemiro was probably one of our better players today. So look, Fulham caused us issues, and as has already been said, and this has been the theme of the whole season, is this: the gap between the left back, the right back, the left wing back, the wingers all season. It's always been there, and teams are going to exploit the left hand side, the right hand side. Look, Luke Shaw side. Luke Shaw. Look, I'm not going to really get on to him, but look, he is not a left back anymore. You know, he's done at the highest level. For me, Luke Shaw is done. So look, Fulham came to play. Fulham had joy. Fulham, I don't think, you know, we played counter, and that's one thing I did want to bring into this. Bring back Amrabat is one of the things I did want to mention when we're talking about the problems. So there are problems. There are problems in the midfield. There are. It's a simple fact. Like as you said, Casemiro comes off, and what's happened? Casemiro comes off, and Ugarte comes on, and that's all we can do. That's literally is all we can do, and we concede goals. If Casemiro gets injured, and we've got to think about this, if 34-year-old Casemiro, whose legs have gone, we are relying, we're basically putting sticky tape around a problem, right? Instead of a club like a City going out and getting a Guehi or a Semenyo, you know, Aston Villa have made a signing. I think Crystal Palace are making signings. If we want Champions League football, go and sign a fucking player, for God's sake. Go and hedge your bets. Because if we sign a midfielder, right, we get into the Champions League, that is more money. You attract better players. You go further into competitions. You know, you attract even more players. If this tight-ass, cheap, debt-ridden wankers do not buy a midfielder and fuck up this season, we are fucked. It is as simple as that. If you look at the money situation this season, if they spend, and again, it wouldn't all be in one go, by the way. If you go and outlay for a midfielder, bring forward a summer signing. If you're that cheap, Ineos, the Glazers, bring forward a summer signing now. Because that money that you spend now might be worth 3 times that amount of money. Because if you buy a player now, if you then go into the Champions League, that's 100 mil just for the Champions League. Sponsors, even more sponsors, commercial deals, the players will want to come to us again. And that is what will happen if you outlay some money. If we don't and we implode, it will be horrific. So Wilcox, who is an absolute clown, Omar Barada, Sir Jim, Ineos, you are gambling. You are gambling here. And if you don't bring in a midfielder, which I hope you do, if you don't, and what I mean by that is I know some people would rather not sign a player, but if Casemiro gets injured and we've got somebody who is at least good to come in, we can limp over the season, because I'm telling you now, if we've got no cover, and Ugarte is the answer for the rest of the season, we are screwed. So go and get a fucking sign in. Let's go through some of your chats again. Simon says we have 2 London teams beaten now of Spurs to complete the capital hat trick. I don't understand why we don't just get a lone midfielder. Understand the budget. It might be tough, but surely we can get a lone player, especially when the Champions League is on the line. Exactly. We're above the Scousers tonight. JB, United has history, won the league when it was 12 points behind. Yes, Newcastle. I remember Kevin Keegan's breakdown. Kevin Keegan had an absolute breakdown that season, and they did lose the title. But I don't think that's going to happen this season. But look, stranger things have happened, and I will look. Those of you who saying that we can win the league from here, look, you guys are legends. But I don't think that we will. Saeed says we need a midfielder and a left back. Saeed, mate, spot on. Dev says if Mona gets injured, we're so screwed. Dev, I don't think Manu. In terms of the player Manu, I think the position wise, I don't think Manu is key. Like I don't. And look, Dev, that is your right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm giving my opinion. I don't think that Manu is such an important player. We can't afford to lose him. I think we can't afford to lose that position. And that's just my view. Regarding City, but obviously always have to say alleged. Exactly. I don't do my BP any good when Ugarte comes on. We lack Roy Keane, verbal and Scholesy tenacity, and they got off the Champions League charges on a time technicality. I find that, yeah, I agree with you. Also, we don't get players cocked in the World Cup or come the new season. We are buggered. And we'll be looking back at why we didn't sign players. Exactly. We could be classed as the bare bones. The Champions League money will go to the pocket of the Glazers. Yes. I hate when people mention money. He bottled the title. Manu is massively over it. So look, let's go further into the game. Look, I'll go through the ratings as well. Look, I just thought the game was this, and you give me your views, right? Look, the game was as I expected it to be. Look, I know Carrick. I like Carrick. I know many people are getting carried away with it, and I get it completely, right? I'm still not. Carrick is doing a job. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and long may it continue. I'm unconvinced by him, and what I mean is look, maybe again he's only been in here for 3 games. Simon, I agree with you. I do know why. I shall tell you the answer as to why we look more refreshed now than we did. The players said it themselves, right? This is what the players said themselves. This is why the players are more refreshed. Is this? They moaned that Amarin made them run. They moaned that Amarin made them work. Amarin made them drill. So then when they had the 1 game a week, they were screwed because they were tired. Right? I get it. They were tired. Teams managed to do it, but not our team. Fine, right? Carrick has taken that off of them. Carrick is trying to manage this team on hopes and dreams. The media said it. He has touched hearts and minds. We're not talking about performance in these games anymore. Words like performance, best in class, have gone out of the window. What this fan base, some of this fan base, and what this club are talking about to fucking fool everybody is Carrick has touched hearts and minds. Carrick is bringing back the joy. That is the rhetoric. The reason why these players are fitter is because this sounds stupid, but they're not working as hard. Training sessions, and I've got zero doubt that they are tough. That's fine. But they've even said it themselves, they enjoy the training now because it's not all about just keeping fit. It's not all about doing the same thing. So the reason why they look fitter is because they're not doing as much work. And look, when it comes to this time of the season, you will see it now because these players are fit. They're not playing 2 games a week. They're playing 1 game a week. This is almost like a perfect storm. This is almost like a perfect storm. You've got Villa, Europa League, Spurs in the Champions League, City in the Champions League, Liverpool in the Champions League, right? Everybody's fit at the start of the season, but they're going to get injuries. They're going to get tired. United are still fresh. So they've got all of the fitness from the previous games. They're not tactically training as hard as they were because they, we all know these players. So this is a perfect storm. I'm expecting these players to be more energized, right? So this is why, really. Sorry, my spelling is not very good. What I'm saying was I hate when people roll Manchester, Ollie time, Manchester United. He's a loser and he bottled the title. Carrick is actually led in the play, yes, and despite that Ollie did in 99 as personal, I don't like him. Carrick has brought the feel-good factor back to the club, something we lacked under Ten Hag. And Simon, look, I'm not going to underplay that. Look, I've always said this. We've got players. I know what these players are. These are not all of them. They are light switch players. These players, and this has been proven time and time again, these players need to be told that they're fantastic. These players know, these players need to be told how amazing they are. These players are not winners. They're not winners. They don't have the mentality and the mindset of winners. As Simon says there, I get it. I completely understand. I love Ollie. I completely understand why players didn't enjoy that. I get it. But these players are who they are. Scott says, when and if Carrick gets beat, do you think it will go to shit or do you think he'll put it back the game after? Good question. Carrick, so look, for me, Carrick is doing what should have been done. He is playing these players at their own game. These players are playing to their strengths, which are, as we saw today. Look, we saw it today. We've got a bare bones squad. We've got certain players who can only play in certain ways in certain positions in a back four. That is what Carrick has done. And to go back to what Scott has said, I don't think Carrick has got an answer. I don't. If you look at that team today, I don't think another manager would have set up the way that he did today. People are saying that Carrick is like he's changing things. He has, but he's played the same team. I don't think this is a Carrick fucking masterclass. I don't, because if you look at that side, he's playing what every other coach did. He's playing the experienced players. Look, these players are performing, and whilst they are, you play them. I've got no problem. But let's not pretend here that this is a Carrick fucking masterclass. This isn't. This is Carrick playing players in their positions. These players are responding to being told how amazing they are. These players are being told, how fantastic they are. And you know it because if you look at how they play today, should we have drawn the game? Yes, but we didn't. And this is what I do have to concede, that Carrick, not only do you have to be able to play the game well, you have to believe in it. And I am not a big fan of all this, hopes and dreams and this sort of stuff. But these players now believe that they can score a goal. And I think that's what he brings. That's what he brings to this team. This team isn't a title winning team. And as Scott says there, if this team gets beat, if Carrick goes on a run and he gets beat once, maybe twice, and has a draw, does Carrick have the tactics? Does Carrick have the squad to be able to come out of that slump? And I don't think he has. I just don't think he has. I just don't see it. I don't see what he's doing from a tactical perspective. That is, look, we were counter-attack FC today. We are at home, and I'm not trying to bring these players down. It was end-to-end exciting stuff, but you can tell by the way we played the game today, we didn't control the game today. The game wasn't controlled. It was a case of they controlled the midfield. They were shit scared of the front 3 or 4. And again, it was moments FC. Going backwards, I'm left and right backs are not great. Maguire got caught out a couple of times. Look, this is not a team that is a title winning team. I'm hoping that this season is the last season that we're going to see a mix of eclectic players trying to play a system. This is why we need to bring in a coach with a defined idea, with defined tactics, and we can't keep building tactics around these players. We can't do it. We've gone back to a back 4 and it works, but as Scott says there, how long does that work for? What was Amin's biggest weakness, says Moss? Stubbornness. I think tactical inflexibility and stubbornness. Ten Hag came back from the Dutch League, Amin from Portugal. Not exactly as the strong as the Premier League. My pub barmaid, City fan, poor devil, she actually admitted that are playing. If we don't get a proper structure and a plan, we'll be back in a dark hole in 2 or less years. Yes. Lack of flexibility and tactical naivety. I like Amrin as a person, but he got exposed. So it says the answer is clear. I'd put Ahmad on the left and Boom on the right. Cunha and Shesko fight it out for striker. Carrick has gone to tactics, what he knows from his time under Fergie, and that's all he's done. Exactly. IGN says, I'm watching from the Côte d'Ivory. Mate, thank you, buddy. I would love to see fast-flowing football with this team as we did under Fergie era. We just destroyed teams in those days. It's because we were lopsided, left wing empty. That's why we couldn't hold possession as much. Troy Parrott is a natural goal sitter or scorer. Tell us Carrick was when he joined United and how he grew. Look, Carrick from Spurs was always a good player. Carrick at Spurs was a great player. He came to us, and the reason why Carrick became so good was because he played in a better team. Carrick's natural ability, and he went beyond because of this club, because he had players around him who demanded more. So Carrick is a very, very underrated player. If you look at Barcelona, and I'm not comparing the two players, by the way, but a Busquets at a Barcelona was very, very. When you look at the Barcelona, the midfield, Busquets is always the one that doesn't really get spoken about. It's always a Xavi, right? At United, Carrick was, like, us fans know him. fantastic player. Carrick was a very, very underrated player. Bernard says, which team is the title winning team in the EPL this season? What you forget maybe is that no team in England is a pushover. Agree with you on that. I do agree with you, but Arsenal, I think are going to win. Liam says Dorgu was missed today. Yes, I think he was. So Jerry says Carrick has given the team confidence in themselves, belief that they are not as bad as everyone keeps saying. They played 5 finals in the last 5 years, so keep the faith, guys, from a Celtic fan. And look, mate, you make a good point. Do you think not having Cristiano and personalities would help Carrick better manage than Ollie was after? No. Ronaldo, no. I think that, look, what Carrick needs is experience. What Michael Carrick lacks is experience. Where's he going to get that experience from? Maybe he gets it from us. But I don't want any ex-players here. The Cat Cadet says, the worry is if Carrick does really well, people will want to give him the job. If they do, it's going to end badly. Even with that dog, we still have plenty of firepower. Carlos says, hi. Carrick has an effect on the I can see that, Lucky, as the same as O'Neill. Carrick was very similar to Busquets. Was best at avoiding presses. Exactly. There's no excuse me. There's no cash to buy players. Where do we get the players from to fit the system? Exactly. So look, let's go through the player ratings. 6 being an average, and then Curtis says burger, mate. Burger every day of the week. Burger. Dave Jazz says United should be happy they got a week off every week, as they are not in any cups to be concerned about, and should be happy fit rest of the season. Exactly. It made Fergie happy with our performance lately. Did Arteta have experience when he took over Arsenal? No, look. My point here is this. If United believe in him, but Arteta got money, Arteta was allowed to clear out the shit. If Carrick, if they're going to go all in on him, right, and buying players, do it. But the difference is Arteta has been backed. Amrin wasn't backed. Will Carrick be backed? Where do we go for a manager if there's... And Scott, I almost think, Scott, is if there are no managers available, keep Carrick, because I don't want a Glasner and a Roller. I don't. So if there are no best in class, keep him. Xavi is the opinion. Freddie Lundberg was briefly in charge before Arteta. I'd love to ask which coach you think should come to United. Okay, so okay, if I could pick any coach, there are 2 scenarios. The first scenario would be this: if we are not going to invest in this team, if a manager is going to be told he's got to use these players and he's going to get 2 or 3 players and that's it, Emery for me. I think Emery would be the guy for me, 100%. Carrick, even, I'd put him in there. If Emery wasn't available and it was a choice out of a Xavi, I don't rate Xavi, by the way. I don't. If it's a choice of Xavi, Arola, Carrick, De Zerbi, a Glasner, I would give it to Carrick. However, if you're saying we're going to get, I don't know, £400 million, right? And we're going to buy 5 players. We're going to get the best of the best in. I'd go for Enrique, Tuchel, somebody of that ilk. Madrid want Emery to be the next coach, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. So look, let's go through the player ratings. I'm going to mark each player out of 10, 6 being an average. You give your scores as well. So alarmins for me today. Someone says Carrick needs experience, but not having big games and people bigger than the club will be. Yeah, agreed. So Larmin's for me today, a 7. I really like Larmin. So look, when this channel was like really small and really new, we did there's a thing out there, and I was talking about Larmin's. Early doors, I wanted to sign this player. I wanted this player. I always thought he was going to be good. He gave me Courtois sort of Schmeichel vibes, and what I mean by a Schmeichel vibe was he's very square. Like, and I know that might not make sense, but he's just very square. He's just very big. Like he seemed and like I've got to say today, the penalty, he looked huge. He looked absolutely massive today. Larmin's for me, look, we don't need to look for a goalkeeper. Look, goalkeepers go through a patch. He's just come into the side. He's got better and better and better. Look, is he perfect? No. Can his positioning be better? Yes. When De Gea came to this club, right, he was battered from pillar to post. He was a skinny rake that Ferguson stuck with him. Larmins, I think, is doing better than he did. I think Larmins could be absolutely just. I think he could be top notch. So look, 7.5 today. Makes cracking saves. Brilliant. A Dallo for me today. Look, Dallo, limited player. Going forward, I think he's okay. Going backwards, I think he's atrocious. Did he have a best game? No. Did he have the worst game? I thought he had a decent game today. I thought by his standards, I thought he had a good day. So I'd give him a 6. I think you could go 5-5. I think you could go 5-5. I think you could go 6-5. I'm going to go 6. I thought he was okay. Defending, non-existent. He needs to go. But what I like about him, he's available. He gives everything to the cause. I've said this. I want players that fight. Ability wise, isn't there. If we want to progress as a team to a team that wins leagues, he needs to go. So look, that's where I'm at on that. Luke Shaw. Look. Luke Shaw again. People will keep having this debate on Shaw. No problem, right? Luke Shaw for me is done. If we want to win titles, if we want to go further in competitions, if we want to get to the Champions League, and we're all talking about this, we're all talking about top 4. Some of you are talking about winning a league. You need to get this into your heads. If you are a Luke Shaw fan, we will not win Champions Leagues or league titles with Luke Shaw. And look, Luke Shaw today for me was a 6, a 5.5, 6. You could say 6, 6.5. I would go 6 today. So yeah, I would go 6 because we won. Luke Shaw is a victim of his injuries. He got injured when he was really young. And look, Luke Shaw in his time he's been an absolute class player. People look at the Luke Shaw now. If you take a retrospective look back, Luke Shaw was a fantastic player. But people get older, people get injured, and Luke Shaw's injuries have not shortened his career. And I think it's a miracle and it's a testament, and I will praise Luke Shaw for playing this season. Look, these players should not necessarily be here if we want to win a title. But Luke Shaw is done, as Simon says there. He's done. He's done. But look, if he's going to play in this season, he gets us through to the Champions League. Luke Shaw, thank you. But he's done. He's done. Maguire today, I'd give Maguire a 6.5 today. I don't think Maguire was as good. Simon says if Saga had a team, then Luke Shaw could play for. Is it true that Madrid won a Dallo? I've seen it. I think that they would take him. I do. I think that they would take him. I have heard rumours, and I do think that Luke Shaw. I think he could go. So Simon says a 6.5. Yeah, 6.5 for me. An average performance today. There's a couple of times where he missed the header. No, look again, Maguire. Redemption story. Great servant, been a great player. Would I give him a year's extension? Possibly. But look, he's doing a job this season. Admire him. These are the players that we've got to the sort of end of the season. The Butcher, 7.5. The Butcher for me. Let me tell you something, right? I keep saying this, right? And I can't give you guys credit enough for this. Pre-season, you guys were talking about him coming back. And I said, look, I don't know if the Butcher's going to come back the same player. He's been out for 2 years. My fear was if he comes back, he's not going to be the same player. Many channels were saying he's back. He didn't. He's come back, and I'm not one for bigging up players, right? I don't do favourite players. I'm not a player like FC, but I'm astounded by this guy. He's been people have taken the piss. He's been out. To come back the way that he has, an impact in this team, like the aggression, the strong in the tackle. He's a leader. Like I'm actually just stunned. There's not many times that I am, but Lucha for me is the story of the season. One of the things I also said, by the way, and again, I don't hide from anything that I say. I said that if Lucha got fit, irrespective, I would sell him, because I'm scared in case he gets he's out again. Would I sell Martinez? Would I fuck? I think Martinez this season has been a revelation. I think he's a leader in every sense of the word. The word World Cup winner. He's just a winner. And sometimes you don't have to win things to be a winner. But whether people like it or not, the geezers won a World Cup, right? Martinez is a winner. And I love him. I absolutely love him. I think he's an absolute, just what a player. What a player. So look, for me, 7.5 today, 8. Look, did he have the most amazing game today? No. 7.5, 8. You know, look, I'd probably give him 7.5 to a 7. Fantastic. Sky says, I'm off for the night. Good night, and I'll see you tomorrow at some point. So look, fantastic player. Casemiro today, 7.5. Did he have an amazing game? No. Right? Did any of these players today have an amazing game? No. Casemiro at 34, playing the way he has in the last 3 games, fantastic player. Controller. And the thing about Casemiro for me is you miss him when he's not there, because we don't have anybody else to bring on. So look, Casemiro, did he have complete control of the game today? No. Great goal as well, by the way, Simon. Absolute fantastic goal as well. Did he control the midfield? No. Fulham constantly ran through. They constantly ran through. But look, controls the game. When he gets in those positions, he does win the ball. He passes. So for me, look, great game. Kobbie Mainoo. I think Kobbie Mainoo. Can you wait for tomorrow? I don't know, mate. I don't think we're going to sign anything. People, again, there's a rhetoric in this community, in this fan base. Kobbie Mainoo, right? I like him. Look, he is still young, right? I want this kid to do well, right? I don't know what Mainoo is. I'm not gonna lie, right? I don't know what Kobbie Mainoo is. What we saw today was he was in and out of the game, but when he gets into the game, you notice him. I think, and again, I've seen some things and sort of like heard some things that Kobbie Mainoo had this amazing game today. Kobbie Mainoo is back. Kobbie Mainoo is this fantastic player. Yes, Simon, he is. Like, I would give Kobbie Mainoo today a 6.5. I thought it was an average game. Like, he is. I think he is Sully. I think you've got to get Kobbie Mainoo on the ball. Kobbie Mainoo for me is not a defensive player. Defensively, I don't think he's particularly great. He gives you a body in there. So look, but if you give him that ball, he's majestic. If you look at the City game, he literally sent Semenyo back to Bournemouth. Right? He is such a beautiful. You watch him with the ball at his feet. He is a maverick. He is. He's an enigma, right? He's that player that if you put him in the right team, in the right position, it will be such a joy to watch. So I think he is just playing in a position. He's just. I don't think people know. So look, Kobbie Mainoo today, 6.5 for me. If look, people will like who they like. Is not for me. Bruno Fernandes. Let's get on to Bruno Fernandes. Right. Bruno Fernandes for me is in his game up because of the World Cup year. I think yes. But I don't. It is, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Bruno Fernandes for me. Look. Bruno Fernandes is a maverick player as well, right? He divides people's opinions. I'm not his biggest fan, right? I think he's been our best player, right? Was he amazing today? No. But what I cannot deny, the guy set up 2 goals. Look, read my last comment if you could, JB. Of course. What Scott's saying? You're not off the bed yet. Too early for me. If we get a play tomorrow, I'd like it to be an Amrabat type of player. Yes, I think we need a Neves. I think he'd be perfect, mate. I do. Let's see. Look, let me get through the comments, and then I'll get on to Bruno Fernandes. Let's have a look. Yeah, cool. Okay, so Scott says, did I tell you, JB, he would be back? Yes, Scott did. Scott absolutely told us that he would be back. Len says Madrid is the best club. Second injury wasn't his fault. The guy fell on his leg. De Ligt and Martinez would be very good. Bruno had better look to his laurels. Martinez, he is. Casemiro, good goal and a good game. Let's have a look. Shame Casemiro is leaving, but it is time to move on. Kobe needs to get stronger. We don't want Ndidi, do we? No. Look, Manu is a one-off player. I do agree with you. Bruno is treating his team more last few games, wandering around like a headless chicken on a front line was roaming today. Josh says, funny how all it takes is for a manager to come in and simplify things. It starts to click. Simple formation and system. Players playing in position is not rocket science, but full credit to Carrick. And look, Josh, you make a very, very good point. Mum Casemiro came off the centre midfield, crumbled. Ugarte isn't any good. Agreed. Ugate's dog shit. So Bruno Fernandes. Look, Bruno Fernandes for me. Look, he's been our best player, right? It is time for him to go. But what I cannot deny about him in this team is there anybody better in that position? You could argue, right? But the guy sets up goals. You know, the guy is the ultimate stat padder. You know, for those people that have a hard on for him, he sets up goals. That is Fernandes. I think Bruno Fernandes's supporters, they basically rely on him scoring goals and assists, because nobody can use his outfield ability of how he plays. And what I mean is he is in and out of games. Like today, was that a captain's performance today? No. Like Bruno Fernandes as a player, as a sort of player that I want, his time is done. But what I cannot deny, what he brings something to this side that it would be very, very expensive to buy, and that's goals and assists. So you know, look, I believe it's his time to go. As a look, people will sort of like have their opinions. For me, the politest thing I'm going to say, I believe is time is done. And I think that we need something different. If we're going to play this way, I think we need something different. But look, I get it. Fernandes for me today, 7.5. Look, assists wins games, right? Assists and goals. Fernandes is the ultimate stat padder. Whether the guy is actually playing well or not, he provides things and he sees things. And look, he will do a world-class moment a game. You can't buy that. It frustrates the hell out of me, but it is what it is. So 7.5 for me today. Let's have a look. The moment Casemiro came off, the midfield crumbled. Ugarte isn't good. If we stuck to Amrin's formation, Manu would have upped and left. Shesko shits all over Flopper. His composure to grab a late winner is in manner is class. I'd still like to see more goals. Would you bring it in to replace Bruno? And who would I bring in? I'd probably bring in a an Anderson and a Belabor, or an Anderson and a Stiller, Anderson, a Wharton, that sort of player. Football aside, it's now my mum's 84th birthday, so can anyone please wish her a happy birthday, Simon? Simon's mum, happy 84th birthday. Ridiculous age. Happy birthday, Simon's mum. Absolute, what a legend, and what a ridiculous age. Like, absolute quality. So Simon's mum, 84 years old, absolute legend. Are you calling them Bruno stat padder? I'm sure you could take many great players from history and make the same argument that what they do without goals and assists, a great player. I don't think. Look, that's a very good argument, in my opinion, against him. I can't pronounce his name, but I don't disagree. Oh, Jesus Christ. Bangman says, people are complaining a lot about Amarin. You have to understand he was trying to build. Sometimes he's short, paying for long-term game. It's not like he was doing bad in the season. So look, let's get through this because I do have to go to bed. So Cunha today. Cunha for me today, look, great finish. 3 goals, I think, in 3 games. Cunha, I like his work rate. Look, Cunha for me today was a 7. I think Cunha is a very, very underrated player. I do. I think he works incredibly hard. I like him. He scored another goal today. Just great player. Great player. So I think 7 for me today. Took his goal extremely well, and really, really, really pleased for him. In Mbumo today, didn't really notice him. 6 from me. I thought he had an average game. I thought he should have scored. Great Cunha. It had to be him or him. Yeah, agreed. Mbumo today, 6.57. I mean, I thought Cunha was in the game a little bit more today. So look, 6 for him. And then look, you've got Mazraoui 6, a Euro 6, and Ugarte a 5. Ugarte can piss right off. Ugarte, look. Ugarte, I mean, look, he is. I think all players should have time. Right? I think players should have time. Ugarte's time is done. Ugarte's crap. And look, I saved the best till last. Shesko. Shesko. Look, one thing I'm going to say, and there are times that I'm wrong, and I will take the L. A Martinez, right? I was wrong on a Martinez, right? At the moment, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on the fact that we finished between 8th and 10th. I will hold up my hands. But there was one thing I've said on here. Scott has said it. Dino has said it as well. Is Shesko. People have given that kid shit. I think me, Scott, Dino, maybe. I think quite a few of us on here have been saying, give Shesko time. He's a young lad who's come into this squad with no help, come into the Premier League. This is a really difficult league to play in, right? And we said, give him time. Players have been calling him Tesco, been calling him all sorts of stuff. Look, is Shesko going to be the world's best striker? We don't know, right? But today, Shesko, absolutely fantastic player. And we've been saying this on here for quite some time. So Shesko today for me, 7.58. Ahmad, I did forget Ahmad as well. Ahmad, I think Ahmad is a class player. So look, Shesko for me today, I love it. Ahmad as well. Look, Ahmad for me, 7.5. The guy's fantastic. Ahmad, I love him. Ahmad is my player of the season. he goes forward, he tracks back. I mean, there was a couple of times today where he runs out of steam because he's so tired, right? But the kid, I think he's wonderful. So look, 7.5 today. If I was going to give somebody the man of the match today, who am I going to give it to? I think man of the match today has to go to Casemiro. You can argue Cunha, you could argue Ahmad, you could argue Shesko. I just think, right, in the twilight of his career, right, in the twilight of his career, 34 years old, written off, and just keep scoring goals, keep on playing as well as he has, and to do that today, I think Casemiro is the man of the match. So let me get through some of these before I go. Bagman says, I meant to say I don't think it's a very good argument against Bruno, not the one you made. You consider about a lot of players in history. Yeah. Shesko, great goal, give us 3 points, 7.5 to 8. Exactly, do not write him off. Liam, Spurs fan, United 3-0 next weekend. Look, Liam, mate, don't write Spurs off, mate. I saw the scorpion kick today. Look, Liam, mate, I'm not counting anything yet. Bagman says things broke down under Ten Hag after the 7-0. Yes. Never felt like it was the same after that. I've backed Shesko since the first day. He shows glimpses of his class, quality. He'll be a force in the next few years. I agree with you, Scott, and I think we've had the same opinion. Ian said still won't get top 5. Liam says the difference between you guys signing Mbeumo and Cunha and us signing Obert, Tell and Kolo Milwani. Look, Liam, mate, legend, my friend. Cassett is going to be, yeah, it is. I mean, legend. Spurs game today was a wake-up call. So look, guys, I'm going to go. Look, thank you for being here. Absolute legends. Two hours worth. But look, these shows are great. The reason why these shows take so long is because I'm really proud of this channel, and I'm proud of the fact that we give each other time. Liam says, I'm going to Old Trafford next weekend, doing a weekend in Manchester. Love it in Manc. Look, Liam, mate, I hope you have a fantastic game, Liam. Don't be a stranger on the channel, buddy. Make sure that you come back, Liam. Mate, look, we love rival fans on here, Liam. So look, mate, feel free to come back, Liam. We don't mind the banter, mate. So if you win, feel free to come back and give us banter, Liam. Absolute legend. So look, guys, this channel, I'm super proud of this channel. It for me, it doesn't feel like a 2-hour show. It doesn't, mate. It is just, look, it doesn't. You guys are legends. I'm so proud of the fact that you give me time, you give yourself time, and the conversation is just fantastic. Liam says, great chat. Liam says, yeah, I enjoy this channel, mate. Win, lose or draw. Luck. Liam, thanks, buddy. You are a legend. Simon says, what a great stream. Hope you all have a good day. Legends, best stream here. We are United family. We are, Simon, United forever. So look, guys, I will be back at some point tomorrow. There won't be an evening show tomorrow because I take a Monday off. Look, if any transfer break tomorrow, I will be on. So tomorrow I will be on standby tomorrow. I might be back tomorrow night. I don't know. Obviously, depending on the transfer window, I will be keeping you up to date with that as well tomorrow. So look, will we sign a player? That is going to be the question for you to take away tonight. Will we sign players? I don't know. So let's see. Simon says, I'll be celebrating my mum's birthday today, so I should be on. Look, mate, your mum is more important. your mum is more important. So make sure, and I know that she's far more important. United Red, do a transfer countdown. Yeah, I will do. I'll set something up tomorrow, and we'll do something tomorrow. Will we sell a player? I think the only thing that we'll probably do is a Xerxes. I'll make some calls actually. I'm gonna reach out to somebody tomorrow, and then I'll give you updates and that sort of stuff. So look, guys, have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Simon, wish your mum a happy birthday. Absolute legend at 84 years old. Legend. Yeah, guys, legends. So, I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel. You guys are legends, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.